Hello, hi everyone. Happy Thursday. It is a very happy Thursday for me. All the new beginnings, I'm feeling just this whole shift of like newness and fresh new starts. It's the first official day of spring. Also last night, for anyone who kind of follows moon cycles and astrology, last night was a full moon, which is all about letting go. And also, it is the start of Aries season, which is my sign. So again, I don't know how much you all follow astrology. I definitely believe there's a lot of power and truth in it. And it also means my birthday is around the corner very soon. And it is also a fresh new start because it's my first day of working in my new office space. Just giving you guys a little view. I am working in this beautiful, beautiful space. It's called Spaces. It is a brand new co-working space here in Milwaukee on Water Street, and it's just, the view is like gorgeous. There's so much light in the building. They did a beautiful job just architecturally with what they did with it. And yeah, it's like right on the river. Great location. I love it. Actually, I am working on moving into the building next door, the apartments next door, which will be really convenient to have my office next door, right? So everything is working out beautifully, so beautifully, and that is what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is being okay with being okay, or being okay with being great. And we use this phrase a lot, talking about it's okay to not be okay, which is totally true. It's okay to feel things. It's okay to go through crap, shit. I'm like, can I curse on here? Yeah, right? So we talk about that a lot. That's not what I want to talk about today. That's really important, but today what I want to talk about is being okay with being okay, which is kind of like what? And I read a book in November when I was in Mexico for Thanksgiving. Thankfully, I started reading it like my first day there, called, now I'm blanking, The Big Leap. And I've shared it a lot. I shared it then. I've shared it in some of my newsletter emails and all of that stuff. I talked about it quite a bit. I lent it to friends, all that good stuff. But it talks about our upper limit problem, and how all of us naturally, as humans, good thing to know as humans is our brains go back to caveman days. So we always are programmed to think worst case scenario, because back then it was all about survival. It wasn't about thriving. So this upper limit problem happens when you are thriving, when you're feeling okay, when you're feeling good, when you're feeling great. And the natural inclination a lot of times is to bring yourself back down. And this shows up in sabotage, self-sabotage, that brings you down quickly, and shows up in trying to join others, or having this feeling of, if you're great, like if someone's like, how's your week going? And you're like, awesome. Like, why do we feel weird about that? I know I still experience this. Like if I'm sharing like all this good news, I'm like, life is awesome. It's so good. Like sometimes I feel like sharing that with people, like, is that okay? Like what if they're really down that day? Like that it might be like a jerk, a braggosaurus, like whatever it is. Like, but why do we feel like we need to censor ourselves and like bring ourselves down almost to belong or fit in? And like, it's just so commonplace to like look for what's wrong. And this shows up a lot too, like Brene Brown, who's an amazing author, speaker. Definitely look into her work, but she calls it embodying joy, where sometimes even like you might be, if you're a parent, like looking at your baby, or I know I actually like experience this with my husband sometimes when things are so good. There's this like fear, like you're so joyful and happy that the fear is like, well, now I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like it can't be this good. And this is even coming up for me. I see it a lot, and now with a lot of awareness around it, it's really, really helpful. Awareness is everything. Self-awareness is everything. So now that I'm aware of it, I see it a lot. And like I said, when I was reading that book in Mexico, I was like, oh my God, I am doing it. I was in Mexico and I had the time off work. It was the day before Thanksgiving. It was beautiful. It was paradise. I was there with my husband and friends, and things were perfect, magical. So what do? I start finding weird things to bring me down. I start picking weird little fights, like bickering, just nonsense. I start getting in my head, oh, this isn't right. Like just nonsense, making something from nothing because it was so uncomfortable to feel like things were just that good. And then I read the book and I was like, oh my God, I'm doing this. It's called Upper Limit Problem. I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing this. So I was able to get out of my own way that trip. And that trip was just beautiful, huge breakthroughs. It was wonderful. And I was able to truly be grateful and like be in the moment and enjoy what a beautiful week of my life that was. But I find myself struggling with this so much, like trying to, I really have so many things that I've wanted for so long that I've worked for, strived for, like now I have it. And it's like, well, what do I do with this now? And I find myself still kind of going into like low vibe stuff again, like creating something from nothing when things just feel too damn good. So one thing that's coming up right now is my birthday is in 10 days. Yeah, 10 days. It's the 31st, the end of the month of March. And I keep saying 31 has by far been the best year of my life. It really has. It's just been phenomenal. I loved 31. And then what's crazy is my head goes, now 32 is going to suck. You know, maybe not even like that consciously, but like there is that fear, like, wow, 31's been so great. Like, it's been nice knowing you, 31. Like, who knows what's next? Like, why? Like, why wouldn't I just assume it's going to keep getting better and better? Because that's the trajectory I'm on. And I'm doing the work on myself and in my life to continue to enable myself to feel joy and creating situations in my life that bring me joy. And so why wouldn't it just get better? Like, again, why do I do that? Why do we do that? Like, so that's my message today, is to look at where in your life do you get uncomfortable when things are too good, and just notice when you don't feel okay with being okay. And again, this might show up when you're talking to people and you feel the need to almost like dull out your joy or how great things are, to kind of you feel like you're sympathizing with people, but it's really not doing them any good. The best thing we can do for the entire world is, we call it collective consciousness. The best thing you can do is raise up your vibration and raise yourself up. If your life is amazing and you're in this empowered state, guess what? You can give that to other people, everyone you come into contact with. If you're down here, you can't do as much good. You can't offer someone a drink of water if your cup is empty. So bringing yourself up and allowing yourself to be in a state of okay and good and great and amazing is the best thing you can do for people. So don't ever feel like you need to dull that. And if you notice yourself having habits around doing it, I think we all naturally kind of do this sometimes, you know, just stop, pause, notice it, observe it. And I always tell clients, curiosity, not judgment. So don't judge yourself in these habits, but just go, that's interesting, and just notice these things. And as you notice it, it helps us rewire and start to choose again and start to be more okay with saying things are really good. How are you? Now I can, now I can offer you some of that goodness. And the other one is, again, kind of like that whole waiting for the other shoe to drop and having fear around things are so good, now something bad might happen. Really notice that. And then notice the big one is where we start to actually act on this and actually do actively like actions that are sabotaging our happiness, which again is very, very common. I notice it. The more I notice it, the more I observe it lovingly, not judgmentally. The more I notice it, the more I can get out of my own way and stop doing it. And it's awesome because again, then you can feel awesome more often. We all want that, right? Sign me up. But really notice where like some of your habits around between thinking, just thought patterns that keep replaying, or, like I said, sometimes actual behaviors and actions, things that you do. Even I find this sometimes with like procrastination or, just things I'll do to get my own way where I don't get things done that like I want to get them done, and like things like that. Just, there's a lot of habits we have around that, around sabotaging the goodness in our life. So just get curious, start to notice it. And again, it is okay to be okay. And how can you really step into that more and allow yourself to feel that joy without the fear that it's going to be taken from you? And just really soak it all in and be grateful and be present and know that you deserve it. It's our birthright to be happy. So really soak that in. So I hope this is helpful. I hope it resonates with some of you. It's kind of just something that's been on my mind today. And yeah, until next time, I hope you have an awesome day and feel fabulous.